Hi guys and welcome back. Today I am finally getting to my design for the character design challenge this month. And what that is there's this really cool Facebook group where they come up with a new theme every month and you get all the members who are part of this Facebook group, and there's probably hundreds, maybe even thousands, I don't know, but these members, they create a character based around that theme, and it's just amazing to see all the different interpretations from different artists that have different skill sets and different focus for their design. And it's just a great learning experience, and it's really fun, and it's awesome to take part in. I've actually only drawn a character for it once before, and I even have a video for that, so I'll have a link down below. But this one, I was really excited about the theme. It was either Venetian Masquerade or Venetian Carnival. I can't quite remember which one it was, but it is based on Venice and those incredibly creepy and beautiful masks. And this is actually something that I have been inspired by for a long time now. I have really vivid memories as a kid during middle school where I was drawing all of these masks and I was looking up all the stuff about Venice. That's like one of the places that I've always fantasized about going, where it seemed like the most magical, amazing place. So it really is one of those common threads in my inspiration and the things that I like to draw from. And I've always loved drawing masks and really pushing the facial features with that. So when they announced that, and it's the month of my birthday, I was like, yes, this is definitely meant for me. I have to make sure that I get it done. And suddenly the month was gone. Nothing makes months feel faster than this challenge, when suddenly all your time is gone and it's just like, it's go time. You got to get it done. And that's basically where I was at. I suddenly realized that I had like 4 days left. And yeah, that honestly is always a great motivator to get stuff done. It made me sit down and work on this one. But this one definitely, while I was working on it, it really made me reevaluate my workflow and some very specific things that I need to work on. And that's always good. It's always good to feel like there's something that I can start focusing on. But over the last couple of digital pieces that I've done, and in the last digital piece, I even talked about it being one that I definitely didn't feel satisfied with. But over the last little while, when I'm working digitally, I felt very incapable of coming up with a good color scheme. It wasn't working for me, and I felt like I was really struggling with it, and I would spend hours and hours changing these minute little colors. And this is definitely something that I've struggled with for a long time, but it just can be very fatiguing when it's just you're overthinking the same thing. And I think that's my big problem right now with digital, is that I am really overthinking it. When I'm working traditionally in watercolor, I just have to be ready when I'm starting and produce it, and what it is, it is. And I don't remember having this kind of a feeling towards the colors, this extreme indecision. I usually feel comfortable with the colors because I've done color comps before I start, and then I dive in and I feel good about it most times. It usually turns out pretty okay. But I think for digital, because I have the ability to change it endlessly and I have all the color options, I can literally do pretty much any color. It means that I spend way more time overanalyzing each one. But I also think that the root of my problem when it comes to this is that I am not putting enough focus on values. So values are the structure behind the color. Values are read first, actually. So when you're looking at something, your eyes read the values first and then they see the color secondary. And I have not been focusing on values nearly enough. I know in passing as I'm working on it that I'm like, I need to get back to making sure that I have the values of this working, and that I have the hierarchy of where I want it, and that I have the focal point figured out in the values. But I don't do it. I focus right away onto the colors, and I think that's the biggest thing that I would like to work on moving forward. I know that there is probably a point where I'll be able to get back into just going straight into color and have a better understanding and feeling for the values themselves, but I am definitely struggling right now, which means that I need to reel it back in. And I think that the next bunch of digital ones that I do, I need to start with the values at the very beginning. I need to get those rock solid. And when you have really good, amazing values, you can put almost any color and it's going to look good because your eye is going to be able to read it well. So yeah, that's my realization, is that values need to come first and I need to prioritize it. And I'm actually really excited about this because I think that it will make it easier, so that once I'm ready to add the colors in these pieces, I will know that the structure's there. It's not gonna be this chaos, because that's a big problem right now, is that I'll put all these colors down and then it'll be really chaotic because there's no hierarchy to it. I don't have the structure of the values there. So I'll have a lot of things where they're like really dark all over the place, which makes the eye go to all of those points, or really light points all over the place. So when you're doing good value, a good thing to keep in mind is that contrast draws the eye. So if you have a really high contrast area, like in the face, if you want to really push that, or in the mask is a good example of this, where I have the really dark lines for the eyes and the really light base for the mask itself, that draws the eye. And it can go either way, light on dark, dark on light. Just having that strong contrast draws the eye. So it's a good way to think about having the highest contrast where you want the focal point to be, and areas surrounding it, those can be lower contrast. So the darks are less dark and the lights are less light. So that is definitely, that's the thing that I'm going to dive into and work on and figure out. And it's really actually exciting because it gives me a purpose in what I'm going to be practicing. Because with my digital pieces, I felt very like I've kind of gone this path. I figured it out. I figure out how to do the line work that I want, and I know the process to the point that I am not even challenging myself anymore. I just produce them, they're done. And being able to know that there's like, okay, this is a weakness and it's time to fix it, really gives me a lot of like motivation to work on new things, because I want to see if I can fix it and I want to see if I can improve myself. So it's always exciting to realize that there's that point there. It's like, yeah, this is something that I can improve on, and I can improve on it right now in the next piece. And another thing that I would like to incorporate into my work process so that I can have a little bit more of a harmonious relationship with color is I would like to simplify the way that I do my color comps. So right now I don't do any color comps at all because I have the process where I'll do the line work, then I will flat the colors, and that's where each section of color is on its own layer, or they're grouped together if they're separated enough. That way I can just lock the layer, go in and change them quickly. But the problem with this is that when it comes to actually changing or testing out a color palette for the entire piece, I have to go in and individually find each layer and then color each section. And it becomes very tedious, but also surprisingly time consuming. So once I have to do all of those things, I find that I'm much more inclined to nitpick the subtle shades of each individual little object rather than seeing it as a whole. So I'm going to reel it back in and then do these simplified color palettes like I do when I'm doing watercolor, where I will do these little tiny ones and I'll block out the color and I'll figure out which one works best. So for this, I'm going to just create probably a JPEG of the color, or of the values, I should say, of the values, and then I can just shrink it down and put the colors right on top of that. And I think that that'll make it a lot more so that when I go into coloring, I will be confident about the overall colors themselves rather than having to guess each step and each layer. So I think that this will really help me enjoy digital again, because I have found that I felt a little bit stressed and frazzled when I'm working on it because I'm just overthinking everything and it becomes this big time pit. So I'm really actually very excited to put these resolutions and these changes in my work process into action. And that is it for today's design challenge. I actually had a lot of fun with the design itself. I love designing her, and I had a lot of fun looking up the different references and ideas. So I love this one. I knew going into it that I would struggle with the colors because I have for months now, but I feel really great about having very concrete goals now to hopefully improve my digital process. So I feel really motivated about working on the next one. But yeah, I do actually have these available as prints, so if you'd like to own her, I will have a link in the description, and I'll also have a link in the end card that'll happen in just a second, and I'll have a link to my Instagram down in the description where I have a lot of in-between stuff. And I do post every Wednesdays and Saturdays, so if you haven't hit subscribe yet, please do. And I will see you guys at my next one. Thanks for watching.